Hello, good afternoon to all of you. I hope all of you are doing well. So in today's class, we're going to learn about the access specifier protected. Now here in this case, what I have a base class shape. And in the base class, I have a set of members. We have set width, set height, and protected members width and height, right? Now, we have learned in the theory class that in case of protected access specifier, the members can be accessed by the members of the base class, or it can be accessed by the members of the derived class, right? So here, set width, set height are the public members, where width and height are the protected members. So now I'm deriving a class rectangle from the class shape, okay? So please don't worry about it. We'll be discussing about the way how inheritance can be done in detail in the eighth chapter. But just for now, just remember that rectangle is a class that is being derived from the class shape. Now inside rectangle we have a function definition that's called as get area. So rectangle has only one public function, that is get area, but it has properties being derived from the base class, that is set width, set height, and width and height, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to declare an object of type rectangle. So now set width and set height are the derived behaviors of rectangle. So rect can have a reference to that or can make use of that. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to print the area of rectangle. So 5 into 7 will be 35. 5 and 35. So area of rectangle will be 35, right? Now let us discuss another program, that is defining a function inside a class. So this is a very simple program. Here what we have is we have two data members that are structure, that are private, and we have member functions that are public. But here, if you know that whenever we define a function inside the class, by default it will be considered as an inline function. Now I have object C1 here of class C, class car, so I can use a C1.getData, C1.showData, because get data and show data are public members of the class, right? And since car number and car model are private members of the class, I cannot have direct access to it. So we need to have access through the interface, that is the function get data and show data. So get data and show data can be put to use in order to have an access to the private members of the class. So here again I'll repeat it. So since class number and class model are the private members, so you cannot directly access it using the member access operator. So it has to be done through the interfacing function. So here we have two public functions, get data and show data. So C1.getData will allow one to have an access to the private member, likewise show data as well. Now defining the function outside the class, so we have modified the same program here. What I have done is I have simply defined the function elsewhere. So I have placed the function declaration here in the class declaration. So we have two private members and then we have two public functions, okay, right? Now it is defined outside the class. So this is the way how we define the function outside the class. We need to specify the return type, we need to specify the class name, and we need to specify the scope resolution operator, and then we need to specify the function name. So it will get data. Likewise, we have show data function that's being declared inside the class. So now it will show so I have cout statement here, so it will display the content. So likewise, I have object C1 of class car, where so what I'm doing is I am writing C1.getData, C1.showData. So it will call the function get data and show data. So this particular program is same as that of the previous program. The only difference between these two programs is that in the previous case the function is defined outside the class, inside the class, and in this case function is defined inside the class. Now the next program that we have is defining a function outside the class and making it inline. So here what I have done is I made a very simple change in the same program, where I have placed inline whenever I'm defining the function, right? So here again what I have is I have private members, car number and car model, and we have public function declared inside the class. Then the function is defined outside the class, but I made that particular function inline, okay, right? And here I've defined show data and again made the function inline, right? Then I have an object C1, right, of class car. So c1.getData and c1.showData. So these three programs are basically same programs, but in the first case you're defining the function inside the class, in the second case you're defining the function outside the class, and in the third case you're making the function that are defined outside the class an inline function, right? So this we have already learned. So here, this is the next program. See, there's a typo error right here, right? Okay. So this is a particular function that is capable of creating nesting. Okay, right? This is a very simple function that's capable of creating nesting of the function. So you see here, what I have is I have a class that is called as nest. Okay, and I have a data member, right? I have a data member that is a, and I have a member function that is square num. Okay, now square num is capable of returning square of the number, and I have a public function input num and public function cube num. Okay, right? So just see here, these two members, that is a and square num, these are private member, and input num and cube num is a public member, right? Okay, and just see what I have is I have a function that is a public function that is display num. Now in display num, what I have is I made a call to square num and cube num, right? I made a function call to square num and cube num, and I printed the result of square and cube. Okay, so just see here what I have done is I have nested member functions. So again, I'll repeat it. I have two members that are private, okay, a and function square num, and set of functions that are public. So input num, cube num, and display num. So display num is capable of is built up in such a manner that it invokes square num and cube num, right? Okay, so it will find the square and the cube of the number. So here I have declared a variable n1, right? Okay, so I am calling the function input num with the help of n1, right? And I'm calling the function display num with the help of n1. Okay. So here first it will read the value of a. Whenever I call input num, it will read the value of a, right? And then I'm calling display num, right? Okay, where display num, what I have is I have square num being called. So square num is since it's a private member, so private member and the member of the class can have an access to it. So here it will return the product of a and a, right? And cube num is declared in the public section. Definitely a member can access it. So what I have is I have SQ and CU being initialized with square and cube, so it will give me square and cube. So if I provide 3 here, so it will give me square will give me 3 into 3 9, and cube will give me 27. 3 into 3 into 3, that is 27. Now I'm accessing private member function, right? Okay, so here also what we have done is we have made an access to private member function. So here, since square num is a private function, okay, right? So we have made a access to the private member function through the member function of the same class, right? Now accessing private member function. So just see here, this is the same program that we have, right? This is the same program that we have, but here what we have done is we have placed cube num as a private member as well. Okay, right? Cube number as a private member as well. So it's the same program where we have made a small minor change where cube num is placed in the private section of the class, right? So this is a very simple example of how to access private member function. Now in this class, what you learned about is we've learned about the access specifier protected. We have learned about defining a function inside the class. We have learned about defining the function outside the class. We have learned about making the function outside the class inline function. Then we have learned about how to access private member functions in a class, right? So we have cited 2 examples and we have tried to understand how to access it, right? So thank you very much. Have a very good day.